Sometimes you're just looking for a simple project, and that wasn't really the case here, but I had these on sale in my store and online, and I sold the ones I had, so I decided to make some more. It's a very simple puzzle. Actually, it's 4 puzzles, and each one of them has, this butterfly has 3 pieces, there's a rabbit with 2 pieces, there's a rooster with 4 pieces, and a cat with 4 pieces. And what I'll do is I'll cut them out on the scroll saw, and then I'll paint the animals whatever seems like an appropriate color. So I already cut the squares. They're 5.5 by 5.5 on 3/4 material. I made it out of poplar since I'm going to be painting them, and I'm going to go drill the holes. It calls for a 3/16 starter hole, and most of the animals have a 1/4 inch hole for the eyes. I'm going to go with the drill press to take care of those. These are quite simple patterns, ideal for a beginner on the scroll saw. There's a pilot hole at the bottom of each animal, and that's where you'll start cutting the animal shape. After finishing that cut all the way around the animal, a small amount of additional material is cut out on another line to leave a spot where the puzzle pieces can be accessed to take them out of the frame. The instructions say to cut between the 2 lines on the pattern, which is unusual. There's normally just a single cut line, and most of the time I try to cut right on the line. My rule of thumb is to use a number 9 blade for 3/4 material, and that will be perfect for these puzzles. I'm using a number 9 Pegas Modified Geometry blade. I will give you a link to the source in the directions. I'll run the blade at nearly full speed, but if you're a beginner, you might want to run at a slower speed until you gain some more practice. Okay, that's it. That's quick. That's only a couple of minutes at the most. And push this out. By the way, this is one of those places where you want to make sure your blade is exactly 90 degrees to the table, because that way the parts will come, they'll fit from the top or the bottom, although I'm going to put a bottom on this, so the important thing is that it slides in from the top, but it slides easily either way, so that's telling me I have a 90 degree. The pattern shows rounded corners, a good feature for a child's toy, but first I will glue on the 1/4 inch plywood backer. After the glue dries, I'll use a disc sander to make sure the edges of the puzzle frame and back are aligned perfectly, and then I'll round the corners at the same time. Moving on from where I am right now, after I finish the outline of the rooster, and the others as well, then I'll cut the individual parts. I wasn't sure whether the rooster was meant to be in 3 or 4 parts, because the cut line at the top of the rooster was only a single line, and the other lines were double. I later decided to make this last cut. As I think I already mentioned, I made these puzzles out of poplar because I chose to paint them, and poplar takes paint nicely. But you could use any wood you already have on hand, or find readily available at your local supplier. I know I said this pattern had double lines with instructions to cut between them. I actually found this a little bit challenging since I'm so used to cutting right on the line. But it's always a good idea to push yourself to try something new or different from time to time. I'll never forget the words of my boss, Major Flynn, at Fort Polk, Louisiana. When I griped about having to do something or other, he would either tell me it's good training or it builds strength and character. Since these cuts were so simple, they didn't take long to complete. I glued the puzzle frames to the backers, then rounded the corners in my disc sander. I used acrylic paints to finish the animals, and I left the frames unpainted. I just gave them a clear acrylic spray finish to preserve the wood and to keep them from getting dirty. I used a number 9 blade on these puzzles because I wanted them to come apart and slip together easily. After all, these are simple puzzles aimed at a toddler, and they're still building motor skills. I'm not very good at painting, but if you are, you could make this into a colorful set of puzzles. I would appreciate it and will respond to any comments. There should be a suggestion for the next video to watch on the screen. I hope to see you there.